All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the, I guess, the better late than never edition of the Fighting's Final here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy Matty B on the call, as I have the dubious honor of reporting a opening or a post All-Star break series stud by the Philadelphia Phillies today. They go down 8-2. Ranger Suarez had that really difficult, what was that, the second inning, and he gave up 5 runs, did not look sharp. Second inning, gave up 5 runs. But listen. You take the second inning out of all this, you still have an opportunity here by only giving up 2 runs the rest of the way. But the Phillies offensively, once again, could not power themselves. And I say the word power. I want you to remember that word today. Power themselves to anything more than 2 runs as they fall, thus falling for in the first series post All-Star break. Welcome back, everybody. Again, the better late than never edition of the Fighting's Final, as I'm about, 4 hours late, but hey, I'm here. I get credit for that. So we'll get right into this, as you guys have been hitting me up with probably some comments a while back, but let's go. Steve checks in with the Mets. Have Alfonso, Bouton, Marte, and Winker, all coming back soon. Get it together. Rangers allowed to be subpar every now and then. They get away with it. Yes. Again, not the greatest effort. The Phillies could not use their starting pitching today in order to help them win. But don't winning teams have to sort of rally around that and find a way to kind of generate offense? I know. And again, you guys know where I come out on this whole offensive problem with this team, and I've resigned myself to that. You know, I get what they are. They're a power team. And I don't think that a power team that cannot generate any sort of other offense other than what they do launching the ball out of the park is a very well-rounded team. And just another anemic offensive performance today by the Phillies. I think Otto Kemp, the only one with a multiple hit situation for this team, as Max Kepler continues his scuffling ways down now to batting 204 on the season. Bryson Stott did get on base twice with a couple walks, but he's pretty much useless in the lineup, even as a contact hitter. All in all, just not a good way to start the post All-Star break. This ball club can't win with that lineup. Nick Castellanos is swinging first pitch. Listen, I don't mind you swinging first pitch if it's their swing. The problem is they're free swingers, and again, it goes back to the word power, and that's okay. They constructed a power lineup, all right? And I've said this. They do what power lineups do. They hit home runs, and they also strike out a ton. But it is so unbalanced. It's so up here with the power and so little other offense that you cannot rely on home run hitters to home run hit your way to a World Series. Even the staunchest homers out there said the same thing after the 2023 World Series NLCS. You know, they were trying to hit homer their way to the World Series, and you can't do that. Blowing a 3-2 lead in the series and losing the last 2 at home in the process. And what have we done to improve this ball club in any sort of way? Nothing. And this is the bed they're going to lie in, and this is what they are. Now, the book is still unwritten on whether or not they're going to win a World Series. I wouldn't put any money down on that personally, but the book is still out. But I think the first step into admitting there's a problem is admitting and understanding and embracing what this team is. And that's a power hitting team. And it's just not good enough. It is. It's not consistently good enough. They're going to win their games. They are. But this is a series. And you take the Phillies month of May, where they were 19-9, out of the equation. You erase that whole month. The Phillies and the Angels are kind of the same team, both about a little bit above 500. And that's all the Phillies have played up to this point without the month of May. So, again, we need to stop sounding so, surprised about all this. P. Okay. Nick making bad hitting into double plays or a horrifying chase. Marsh, at least he tries hard. He can't defend the plate, and that's bad coach for an MLB player. He stands in unprepared with bat on. Let's dissect this. Hubert Gaffney Racing Stables LLC. Nick's making bad hitting into double plays or horrifying chase. Okay, so he's either hitting into double plays or he's chasing really badly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he is. Because what is he trying to do? He's trying to win the game or tie the game with one swing of his bat or bring the team back with one swing of the bat. You can't defend the plate, and that's bad coach. I vehemently disagree with that statement. Again, we're not talking about high school varsity here. We're not talking about high school JV. We're not talking about friggin' 12U travel ball. We're talking about Major League Baseball players. If you, as a Major League Baseball hitting coach, have to teach somebody how to stand and defend the plate or protect on the plate, then somebody failed somebody way along the line. I'm not going to give this to the damn hitting coach. Now, yes, the hitting coach, pitching coach, those guys, they look at tendencies, and they bring those tendencies up to the player and say, hey, this is what you're doing. You need to stop. But I'm not going to blame I'm not blaming Kevin Long for the Phillies' problems. I'm not going to bring. I'm not blaming that, because again, these are Major League Baseball players, and if I have to spend an inordinate amount of time teaching you how to bat at the Major League level, what are you doing here? And how'd you get this far without anybody catching you? So I disagree with that to the coaching standpoint of it all. I do agree with everything else you're saying. His shoulders look very bad. Kemp, at least he's putting the effort, get away. Oh, wait, I'm going to go back to that last part about Marsh. Marsh, wait, did I see something about Marsh trying hard? Bad hitting, make double plays hard. Marsh, at least he tries hard. Okay, again, this is the major leagues, all right? There's no points for second place. There's no woulda, coulda, shoulda, or the little engine that Marsh could. I don't want to hear tries hard. You got to be a major league level player here at this point, and Marsh is not. Marsh is a tweener. He's a tweener. He's a classic tweener. When this ends with Marsh, eventually at some point when they move on from Brandon Marsh, and I don't know if it's this year, next year, but it'll happen. Brandon Marsh is going to go and become one of those players that's up and down constantly through someone's organization. He's going to be that guy in about 5 years that signs on with a new team every year, gets an invite to spring training, and then makes the AAA team out of spring training. That is Brandon Marsh's career, in my opinion, over the next 5 to 10 years. He is a tweener. He's a straight tweener. And I don't want to hear at least he tries hard. I could give a damn less about how he's trying. I want to see results at this level. It's a results-driven league. It's a results-driven business. You get no points for trying. Trying equals failing. And unfortunately, this is the major freaking leagues. This is the 1% of the 1%. If you're not part of that group, then you don't need to be here. As harsh as that might sound, and I know it sounds a little harsh, but that's how I see it. His shoulder looks bad. Kemp, at least he's putting the effort. Get him away from third base. Can't make errors there. Kepler should either start or be waived. He has no trade value. He does not have any trade value. I agree. This is now a long line of failures from Dave Dombrowski. And where did it start? Where did the left field conundrum begin? Did it begin with the moving of Bryce Harper back into the infield, or did it begin with finally coming to terms with Kyle Schwarber not being an everyday left fielder? Maybe it's more of the Schwarber thing. But since then, they have not been able to get anything straightened out in left field. We had the Whit Merrifields, we had the Austin Hayeses, we have now the Max Keplers. Who's next on the left field is right? I mean, that's what I want to know. Who is the next contestant on Let's Play Left Field for the Philadelphia Phillies? Because it's at a point, no, it's beyond that point where we got to give someone else a shot out there. Is it Otto Kemp? I thought Otto Kemp. I know the Phillies did commit 2 errors today to go along with their problems of the day. But again, I'm okay with Kemp playing third base. Truly am. I honestly am. But is there a more pressing need for somebody every day out in left field? I believe the answer is yes. But who is that somebody? Is that Otto Kemp? I'm a huge Otto Kemp supporter, and I'm glad he's getting his shot here at the major leagues. But to hitch my wagon to Otto Kemp's star to take me to a World Series championship is foolish. That's not really advisable. He could be part of the mix. He's a contributor. But to say that Otto Kemp is going to take us to the World Series, I don't know. So I'm not really sold on that whole idea. And that's the problem, is that we're still looking for a left fielder all these years later. Bryce decided his own business being in the lineup until he quits golfing. Perhaps it should also get a hitting coach. Again, you guys, I don't understand. I don't know, man. You know, it falls on deaf ears, I guess. I really, I would love for a lot of you to hang out with a Major League Baseball team for like a week and just observe what a hitting coach does. Observe what the pitching coach does. Again, it's observations. You know, hey, this is what you're doing. And I'm sure whatever the problem with Bryce Stott's bat speed, with his ability to, or his tendencies to swing low, I'm sure it's been brought up a bazillion times. And maybe that's the next step, is to bench him because he's not listening. I don't know, but I'm not blaming this on the hitting coach. I'm not going to blame the Phillies' inability to score runs without the use of the home run on Kevin Long. I'm not. Blame it on Dave Dombrowski, 100%. And my learned colleague, Mike Lauro, here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, I did catch a little bit of that show today. I don't know if he said it today or yesterday. I've lost track of time, but he mentioned something that you shouldn't blame Dave Dombrowski for the problems of the Phillies because he's not the general manager. Lunacy. One of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard him utter. I understand he's not the general manager, but if you think there's anybody out there pulling the strings other than Dave Dombrowski, you're crazy. It's Dave Dombrowski's show. He's making all the decisions. Kind of like Daryl Morey, who made the decisions over Elton Brand, or who was the general manager. So Elton Brand is the general manager, but Daryl Morey is the president of basketball operations, correct? Is that how that's broke down? It's the same thing here. Dave Dombrowski's making all these decisions. So if you're really looking to scapegoat first of all, why would anybody looking to scapegoat Dave Dombrowski? I don't know. But if you think Dave Dombrowski's not making the decisions on his team, you need to check yourself and really kind of tune deeper into this team, because it is 100% Dave Dombrowski. Preston Mattingly, who, by the way, is sitting in for Sam Feucht as he goes off to the University of Pennsylvania to get his master's degree, or his PhD. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but you honestly think Preston Mattingly, 6 months on the job, is making trade decisions? Or if Sam Feucht, prior to him going to college, was making the personnel decisions on his team, you need to really tune in deeper. It's Dave Dombrowski. This is his show. These are his moves, 100% succeed or fail. So just wanted to bring that up. Pitcher has a bad day. We saw that last year. Ranger, after the All-Star break, was not the same. He kept trying to change up what was broken, and Rob, the talented manager, left him out there to blow his ERA. I think these are apples and oranges situation. I don't think this is anything like it was last year. Ranger got hurt last year. I think there was an injury situation. Don't forget, Ranger is just sort of rounding in the form. I'm not ready to castrate Ranger Suarez for one bad inning. I mean, not a good game, but really just one really bad inning. I'm not ready to do that, and I'm not ready to castrate Rob about that either. I don't know what else do you. Part of this game is bad streaks and hot streaks and ups and downs, and you got to stick with players for having to be able to work their way out of these types of streaks. Now, comes a point where you're like, this is not happening. But as far as Ranger went last year, I think he was hurt. And I think there was maybe some mental issues. But this is not the same. In my opinion, this is not the same Ranger Suarez from last year. Absolutely not. Rob, you only have 2 starting pitchers ERA to ruin, jackass. And when you don't have your stuff, it means the player was not prepared right. Well, don't forget, there was also a rain delay to start this game, and that might have thrown him off a little bit. Yeah, it happens, Again, and this goes back to my argument from day one. We can sit here and bitch and moan about the Phillies pitching all we want. I'll take the Phillies pitching over anything in the major leagues right now. There's maybe not a rotation out there, with the exception of Detroit's, that I would seriously consider trading the Phillies rotation for. To me, it's nothing to do with the pitching. It has everything to do with the offense. 100%. This offense does not work, and it's never going to work. It's never going to consistently work because there's too many of the same type of hitters. Homers want to tell you differently. They want to tell you that, oh, it's going to be fine. That's what they are. And they're right. That's what they are. But it's not going to be fine. They're not winning a World Series with the DNA of this team the way it is. And if you want to jump down my throat and call me a negative Nelly, you can. But I'm not just coming at you for a hit. I'm not coming at you with that for some sort of click. I'm coming at you with history. This is the same team that lost the World Series in 2022. It's the same team that lost the World Series in 2023. Or NLCS in 23. It's the same team that lost the NLDS last year. It's the same team. So don't get mad at me for taking a negative or critical stance here. I'm using history as my guide. Stott has one of those slowest bats in the league. He needs a leg day, arthroscopic elbow surgery, and medicine ball before he winds up playing in Korea. He's not going to wind up in Korea as long as he's here. I got to get rid of Bryson Stott. You can't do that. I don't think Bryce Harper would allow that. Would he? Would Bryce Harper authorize that? I'm good, Joe. How are you? Matty B, Ryan, what's up? Thoughts on David Robertson? Yes, the Phillies today inked. David Robertson's returning to the Phillies for a third stint. He's been of course, he's the reliever. I think he last pitched, was it last year for the Mets? He hasn't pitched at all this year. Was it Minnesota he was with? He was with somebody last year, but he hasn't pitched all this season. He's now going to join the Phillies. And finally, after about 2 months of not having Jose Alvarado, the Phillies get around to replacing him somewhat. And I'm not saying he's the back end of the bullpen, but he's another arm out there. My thoughts on it is, is this it? Is this the move? Is this the bullpen help we're going to get? Is 45-year-old David Robertson for the third time? But it's another arm. It's depth out there. We need it. Especially after blowing through the bullpen the way we did this weekend, we definitely need another arm out there. Is he ready? Is he going to join the Phillies? Is he going to go to AAA for a couple starts? Or a couple appearances? How do they work him out? I mean, he's a veteran. He probably don't need to do that, but hasn't pitched since last season. But can he do any worse than what's going on out there? And he has some veteran presence to that bullpen, I guess. I mean, it's not a needle mover. It's a typical Dave Dombrowski trade deadline move. I'll give you that. Not a needle mover, but you can never have too many arms. So it is what it is. How many excuses are people going to come up with this? I don't know, but just tune into the PM and the AM or anything Mike Laro and Al Zafiri are on there, Michael Papernick, and they'll probably provide you as many excuses as you want about why they lost this series. But we don't need to hear that because we know the truth, right? We lost this series because this team cannot hit anything, cannot drive in runs without the ball going over the fence. That is the one thing they do consistently, is hit home runs. And they do it consistently. But unfortunately, sometimes they come in different intervals. And they cannot provide any sort of other offense other than the long ball. And you're not winning a World Series doing that. You're just not. So, but to answer that question, that's a good one. I don't know. My nephew 8U boys won the 2025 Middle Atlantic Cal Ripken Regional Championship. They are the best team in southeastern Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Delaware. Came back from a 5-1 deficit to win 6-5 hard fought. Congratulations, boys. I know 8U baseball is challenging for those who play it and for those who officiate it. More so for those who officiate it. I hate 8U baseball. But congratulations. It's a noteworthy achievement. God damn, Michael Papernick. Woo! He stated that there hasn't been any team meeting suggesting they need to change their approach. There's a correlation to it, Marsh said, per The Athletic. The teams that chase a lot and have a lot of strikeouts also probably lead the league in homers or are up there. But I don't necessarily remember us having a meeting or sit down of like, stop chasing. Maybe just like we need to put better at bats together, pass the baton, stuff like that, but nothing in particular. Well, sort of validates everything I just said, right? That this is a power hitting team and they're going to be what they are. Man, Michael, it took a lot of time working that one out, man. I appreciate your time in typing that out. Dombrowski will trade away Crawford and Abel for another prospect for Quan, and Cleveland is a mistake in my book. Listen, I spoke a little bit about this not too long ago. I think it was the other night on that show we did, the check-in point show. Has everybody like kind of lost the rails a little bit? Cleveland's not out of this. Why would the Guardians sell? And I'm just think about this. Why are we assuming the Guardians are sellers? They're still in the race. They're like 4 games out of the wild card. Why would we assume that Cleveland would part company with 2 under control young players that have brought them somewhat success? Why would they part ways with those guys when they're a team that feels that they're in a contending position today and then go in and try to pick up Justin Crawford or Mick Abel in the process? I want someone to answer that question. All you trade experts out there, what makes you think Cleveland is sellers in the first place? I know if I was the general manager of the Guardians, I'm not parting company or parting ways with 2 young under control pieces while I'm in the middle of a wild card race for Justin Crawford and Mick Abel. 2 players that are going to provide me help in 3 years from now or 2 years from now. I have the same mindset as the Phillies do. I want to win today. So I'm not saying no trades are possible, but why would Cleveland even want to do it? It's not like they're the Rockies or the Pirates. The Pirates are not out of this yet, but or any of those teams. Cleveland feels they're in this thing now. Why would they step backwards in this pennant race, kind of give up like in July? Like, you know what? We're 4 games out. Yeah, hell with it, man. We ain't going to win. Let's just trade away some of our young talent. I don't understand the reasoning why you think, and I say you, I don't mean you specifically, Michael Papernick, but people out there believe that Cleveland is so headstrong about getting rid of Clase and Stephen Kwan at this particular moment in time. I think we're losing sight of that a little bit. You should be focused on what the Athletics can provide, or what the Rockies can provide, or what maybe the Marlins or the proverbial losers every year, the White Sox. You should be looking at them, and maybe the Baltimore Orioles because their season's pretty much over. Hell, you might as well start looking at the Braves too. But why are we looking at the Guardians? They're still in this thing. And I don't know how much more distance. And I mentioned maybe if they go 0-15 out the break and find themselves out of a playoff spot by the end of July, then yeah. But I mean, what are the odds of that happening? So I'm not, and it's Dave Dombrowski, for God's sakes. He's gone on record zillions of times saying he loves this team. I don't think I don't think a needle mover trade's coming. I honestly don't. I'm not saying I do believe a move's coming, or multiple moves, or maybe 3 or 2, but a needle mover, no, I don't think it's happening. Hey, Ricky D, what's going on? Can you help me with YouTube? What do you want me to do with YouTube there, Ricky? Your nephew and my wife's cousin must be on the same team if you mean the Langford 8U team. Oh, here we go. So you got some 8U stuff happening. Mick Abel ain't yanking his head anymore. Well, that's great. He needs to come back up here and not yank his head anymore. No more trick ponies like Brett Rooker are allowed here. Yes, no more trick ponies like Brett Rooker. Because guess what Brett Rooker is? I mean, he's, well, you know, listen, hey, there, Steve. Brett Rooker, give him some props, right? He'll fit right in here. He's a power hitter. We have plenty of those types of people for him to get along with, but it doesn't change the team. It just gives you another power hitter. And I don't know what exactly you're expecting Brett Rooker to do. He's just going to step right in line with the rest of them. Again, the Brett Rooker Mason Miller thing. And let's address that one too. I'm not saying that's probably to me a more plausible trade than Emmanuel Clase and Stephen Kwan from a contending team. To me, the Brett Rooker, Mason Miller potential is more plausible because the A's are bottom feeders. But the A's are also in the driver's seat here with this type of situation. They hold all the cards because they're a young team that's bursting at the seams with a lot of young talent that teams might want to get a hold of. And they're going to want to replenish that talent lost by making those types of trades. So they're going to try to bend the Phillies over the barrel on any sort of Mason Miller or Brett Rooker deal. And if you want Dave Dombrowski to return to his roots, his let's destroy the farm system roots, then yes, maybe that's the trade for you, but not me. I guess I'm the minority here. I don't want to mortgage the team's future for some misguided World Series run in 2025 that is not happening unless you bring in about 7 players. Now, if we can get 7 players for our entire upper crust of prospects, okay, I'm listening. But if you're going to bring me back a bullpen arm and Stephen Kwan, and I'm going to give up just about 3/4 of my future, take that and shove that up your ass. All right, I'm not doing that. The team is not structured correctly. No more Band-Aids for this group. The Band-Aids don't work. They keep falling off. You need to cut to cure with this team. It's time. You make the effort this year. You fight hard to the end. You try your hardest to deliver the World Series. You're not going to succeed, but you don't quit. But Dave Dombrowski should not finger, this entire farm system over an attempt to make a run by thinking that he's 1 player away or 2 players away from capturing a World Series. No. Do some damage control. Yes, slap some Band-Aids on it this time. Try to bring in a quality bat that maybe has some control. But you're really going to have to sit down in November and really rip this thing apart and try to move some of these guys along. Now, I know that the free agency is going to help you with that. Kyle Schwarber is just about gone. He ain't coming back. JT Realmuto may have to come back. But you got to start looking at this thing holistically in November. And you got to say, I can't go through another year of Bryson Stott. I can't go through another year of Alec Bohm. I got to get some people in here that can hit to all fields, lay down the occasional friggin' bunt. And I got to balance this thing out. And that's the only way this is going to be solved. Now, I'm not saying blow it up because there's some valuable pieces that are still going to be here. And yes, I want to still maintain that power aspect of my lineup, but I got to get more diverse. I got to bring in more people that can bang a ball down the freaking baseline once in a while or sack fly with 1 out and a runner on third. Isn't that a novel concept, Phillies, that you can actually score a run from third base without hitting a home run? You can do it a myriad of ways. I know that you only know it's one, but there's multiple ways you can do it. I need guys here that can do stuff like that to complement the power, not the other way around. And to me, mortgaging the future on a misguided run to the World Series, it is not happening, Philadelphia. I'm sorry. Unless Dave Dombrowski is going to shock the world and we're getting 7 or 8 different players here and we're going to turn around this DNA. We're going to give them a blood transfusion. We're going to create a whole other team in the next 2 weeks. It is not happening. A World Series is not going to happen. And I am not mortgaging my future for a misguided World Series run in 2025. So yes, slap some Band-Aids on it one more time. Let's try to maybe add a piece for the future, or not so much for the future, but a piece that's under team control for a couple years to add on to what I'm going to do next offseason. But do not, under any circumstances, F with the nucleus of this farm system. It's now finally starting to sort of like blossom. And now we're going to take a flamethrower to it. Don't do that. Do not do that. We just won the Super Bowl. I'm in no hurry to mortgage the farm for BS. I agree, Steve. It's people that don't know baseball want you to mortgage the system. It's people that don't know how this thing is supposed to be done. And I go back. I know this is more of a this is sort of like a modified fight final because we're not doing the final word tonight because I'm late coming on here, so I'm not gonna come back at 10 o'clock for the final word. So this is sort of the final word on the Fighting's final. There you go. Let's just add that. So I'm kind of doing both here, and I haven't really even got into breaking this game down yet, but I will. But Steve mentions an interesting point. I'm not going to mortgage the future because we just won a Super Bowl. I go back to this because I have to defend my Philly fandom consistently all the time from all types of nimrods, and I go with this one, and no one understands it. And I know there's Philly sports fans out there that understand me, and I know there's some that get me. I'm not about catching lightning in the bottle. I'm not, because I think we deserve better than that. We are the most passionate sports base in this, I think, in the world. It's misguided, but yes, I'm going to say the world. So I don't want one championship every 10 years or one championship every 20 years or a couple championships sprinkled into a millennia. I don't want that. I want sustained excellence. I want to be the Atlanta Braves of the 1990s. I want 14 straight division championships. I want to have an opportunity for 14 years to go to the World Series. I want consistent winning year after year after year. I don't want a lightning in the bottle. And a lot of the Nimrod Homer Phillies fans, and not Phillies, but Philly fans, want to mortgage everything. Put it all in the middle of the table, man. I don't care about tomorrow. I just want today. Now, maybe that's a generational thing too. Maybe that's what it is. But they're really the enemies of the sports base, of the fan base, not me. I want sustained excellence. I want dynasties. I want to be the best at all the time. You guys who want to throw it all in the middle of the table, you're looking for instant gratification. That's not sustainable, in my opinion. What's sustainable, what to me is more sustainable, is building excellence and developing excellence and nurturing excellence. And I'll never, ever be on the side of get rid of it all for 1 year. What was my feeling with Taijuan Walker back as a fifth starter? Also, I keep hearing a fifth starter does not mean much, but I think differently, and I'm not saying Walker is the answer. So that's a loaded question. First of all, Taijuan Walker, God bless him. He's better than he was last year. Now, of course, we have one more year of that contract. One more year. So 2026, here we come. I disagree. I think Mick Abel should have been given the job. Just to see what you got with Abel. He's not going to work out his rookie problems unless you can goddamn pitch him every fifth day. Right? He's not going to figure this out unless you pitch him every fifth day. And I also maintain what Mick Abel's giving you, Taijuan Walker is probably giving you about the same. Right? But it comes down to, once again, the money. Taijuan Walker's getting paid like $8 million a year, and they're going to play him. And it was another bad move by Dave Dombrowski. So as far as your question about does a fifth starter doesn't mean anything, that's a load of hooey. A fifth starter means a lot when it comes to saving your damn rotation, saving your goddamn bullpen, saving as much as you can for the postseason. Now, once you get to the postseason, a fifth starter doesn't mean anything because you're going to go with a 4-man rotation. But you got to get to the postseason. And we saw last year when we had the old carousel of fifth starters, it taxed the bullpen. And it actually put pressure on the rotation. And it was part of this team's downfall in the second half of last year. So, a fifth starter means a whole bunch in the 162. Doesn't mean much in the postseason, but it means a whole bunch in the 162. And I think that Abel would be giving you more, or if not more, but just about the same as Walker. But it comes down to money. It comes down to that contract. It comes down to Dave Dombrowski saying, you're going to play my guy because I brought him here and we're paying him and he's going to play. That's what it comes down to. Mick Abel's under control. They can yo-yo the hell out of him with no issues. Taijuan Walker's got a mega contract, that 4-year deal that, again, one more year left, though, folks, one more year. So they're going to play him. It's misguided, but they're going to play him. So you have to look up this for real, and it's real, the Pillow Fighting Championship. I saw on ESPN, and they also have been championships. Did you see it on ESPN, the Ocho? Was it on that one? The Pillow Fighting Championships? At least it ain't the Pillow Biting Championships. I don't want to watch that. No, I don't. Too bad we can't get a Darren Dalton for a Billy McMillan. Now we ain't going to be able to pull that one off. Hi, Mickey. How are you tonight? That would be one thing if we were right on the precipice and comparing ourselves to other so-called struggling. That annoys me so much. It's all right. So I get, but this is a homer defense. That's a homer defense mechanism. That's what homers do when the world is crashing in around them. They look outwards to other people's worlds and say, well, hey, look, that world's crashing down too. So we're okay then. Yeah, that's ridiculous, right? I mentioned this on the show the other night. The Phillies have had an opportunity this first half to distance themselves from a struggling Mets team that can't stay healthy and can't get quality starting pitching. They failed to do that. Now they're in a dogfight with the Mets. I could give a rat's ass less that the Mets are struggling, the Dodgers are struggling. I don't care. I don't care what the win totals of these teams are. I care what the win total of the Phillies are. And right now, we're part of the pack because we're not as good as the rest. And we can't excel past the pack. But the same homers will be telling you they're running away with this thing because they're a superior team. You can't reason with a homer, Steve. You can't, because they twist and turn things around all the time to fit their narrative. They don't look at the reality. They look at the subsections and the subparagraphs and number 4 and 5. They don't look at reality. They want to say, well, the Phillies are okay because the Mets are struggling. Phillies are okay because the Dodgers are struggling, or X, Y, and Z. And they're right there in the middle there with everybody else. You know, you should be concerned about that. They should be ahead of people with the 4th highest payroll in this league. Yeah, it's a homer defense mechanism. Team is yes, it's on the Ocho. I'm okay, man. Good for you, Mickey. It's good to hear. Good to hear from you. It ain't like we as hurt as the Mets either. Nope, we're not. We're down one main piece. Yeah, we lost a central figure of the bullpen, but we're down one main piece. That's Aaron Nola. By the way, any updates on that? Does anybody have an update for me about Aaron Nola's condition? Again, I don't think he's coming back. All right, so let's get to this game. I do want to go over this because this is a post-game show. Phillies on the day, the Angels 8 runs, 13 hits, Phillies 2 runs, 6 hits, and 2 errors. Offensive standouts for the Phillies. Otto Kemp, man, 2 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI as part of that 2-run offensive deluge by the Phillies today. Otto Kemp was a main member of it. The other one contributing is our backup catcher, who might be our new starter, Rafael Marchand, 1 for 3 on the day with an RBI. For the Angels, it reads as it should. Zach Neto, 2 for 6, three runs and RBI. Wade was 3 for 4. Trout was 1 for 4. Ward was 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs. And Logan O'Hoppe 1 for 4 with a walk as he got on base twice for the Angels. Pitching wise for the Phillies, yeah, we know Rangers did not have he didn't have a great inning. Second inning was terrible, and he labored. 100 pitches through 4 1/3 innings is not good. 8 hits, 6 runs. They were earned, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, no home runs. Ross, Johnson, Romano, and Lazar, all came in a losing effort for the Phillies. Soriano gets the win. He went 7, 6 hits, 2 runs. They were earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts to give up a home run, 93 pitches, 6 innings. Burke and Fulmer as well for the Angels in the winning effort. For the Phillies, offensive stats, they left 5 on base, 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. For the Angels, they left 13 on base, and they were 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Scoring summary, Neto would get things rolling for the Angels in a second when you knock in O'Hoppe. to make it 1-0. And then Trout would walk, knocking in Virgilio Pro, making it 2-0. Then Ward would break it open with the double to make it 5-0, part of that 5-run second inning. Marchand would answer in the bottom of the second for the Phillies. He would knock in Marsh to make it 5-1. And then Trout would sack in Neto to make it 6-1. Wade would homer in the 6th as well to make it 7-1. Kemp would turn around with a homer in the bottom of the 6th to make it 7-2. And then Ward would double in Neto, finishing up scoring 8-2 is your final. Phillies fall 2-3 to the Angels. Will now welcome in the Boston Red Sox tomorrow. And it will be Walker Buehler versus Zach Wheeler tomorrow night at 6:45 from Citizen Bank Park. And there you go. There it is. There it is. So let's go to our Broad Street bottom line as we're zipping through this postgame show. The Broad Street bottom line today brought to you on the It's a Wrap Sports Network by the by the P&M and the AM program. Your Sunday mornings will not be the same. They were on today. For a good period of time today, I forgot it was Sunday. I ain't lying to you. I thought it was like Tuesday. Yeah. For the first 3 hours, from 9 to about the first 4 hours, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, from about 9 to 1:30 today, I was on the field. I did 2 games back to back. When I got off the field, I thought it was Tuesday. I'm not lying to you. I'm not going to label Tuesday, but I didn't think it was Sunday. I totally lost my concept that today was Sunday. So I had to go back and re-listen to this program. But they were on today. If you missed it, go ahead and catch them. It's all over our social media and our YouTube. But our Broad Street bottom line for me, or my Broad Street bottom line, is this is what we see with this team. This is a power-laden team that when they don't hit home runs, they don't score runs. And when they get the odd dud by their starting rotation, this is the result. An 8-2 lackluster loss, losing the series, and also coming out of the post-All-Star break now 1-2. And this is a symptom of a bigger problem. Of course, we've talked about that. And I said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. Where would we be without starting rotation? And we saw the effects of not having a good outing by a starter today and what it does to this team. It turns them completely upside down. So improper balance, improper structure to this batting lineup comes back and bites them on the ass when they don't have a good starting effort from their starter. So that's my Broad Street bottom line, is the imbalanced, unstructured lineup strikes again for the Phillies today and not getting a good enough starting effort. So there you go. Let's do some round the bases. Let's go around the bases on this Sunday afternoon. Games that are currently still happening, and that's only one of them. That's the ESPN game over there on ESPN. They're in the bottom of the 7th. God, it's 1-0 Tigers over the Rangers. Games that have gone finals. It was 8-6 Blue Jays over the Giants. It was 5-3 Orioles over the Rays. It was 7-2 White Sox over the Pirates. The Yankees 4-2 over the Braves. 8-1 Padres over the Nationals. It was Mets 3-2 over the Reds. It was the Royals 7-4 over the Marlins. The Guardians 8-2 winners, and again, I don't know why they're selling, but they're winning. But they beat the Athletics today, 6-1 Red Sox over the Cubs, 7-1 Twins over Rockies, 11-3 Astros over the Mariners, and it was 6-5 Brewers over the Dodgers. And rounding it out, the Diamondbacks 5-3 winners over the Cardinals. Yes, over the Cardinals. And let's peek now at the standings. Yes, we've been at that time of the year. I'm authorized to talk about the standings right now. Right now, as we sit, the Phillies are a half a game ahead of the Mets in the National League East. They are at 56-43. The Mets are 66-44. As far as wild card standings around the National League, the Phillies are not factored into that, but the Brewers, Mets, and Padres currently hold the 3 wild card positions in the National League, with the Giants, Reds 2.5 out, the Cardinals 3.5 back, the Diamondbacks 4.5 back, And then the rest, Miami, Atlanta, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Colorado, bringing up the rear in the National League. In the American League, the Yankees, Mariners, and Red Sox hold the wild card spots, with the Rays only a half a game back, or a game and a half back of the wild card. Rangers 3, and the Angels. That's right, the Angels 4. And there they are, them pesky sellers, the Cleveland Guardians, 4.5 games out of the wild card. Minnesota 5, Kansas City 5. And fading fast is Baltimore Athletics and the White Sox. And there's your peek around the standings on this Sunday night. Again, the Phillies just a half game ahead of the Mets in the National League East. Cubs, Dodgers are your other divisional leaders, as it's a pretty tight race in baseball right now. We'll maybe talk about the American League some other time. Let's go back to the comments. Let's finish this thing up today. Good God. Hey, Matt, can you help me on YouTube? What do you want me to help you with, man? Kemp isn't anything great, but he's playable. Absolutely, he's a piece. But if we're going to use him as more than that, then we're wrong. Third time's the charm for David Robertson. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Steve. Back for his third go-around. I hope that's not the bell ringer move we're all been waiting for. I don't think it is. I think they finally gotten around to replacing the arm out there in by losing Alvarado. But and again, I also said that any arm is a good arm. You can always use an arm. I don't know how much David Robertson can give, or what role. I'm sorry, I said the R word. What's he going to do in the bullpen? Is there going to be an analytic situation where David Robertson's coming out in the ninth inning? Oh, man. I guess if that happens, I guess we can fully say that Rob Thompson has no feel for this game at all, that he's completely running it from the book. If at any time David Robertson steps out in a safe situation in the ninth inning, woo, just heard Class A is not being traded. Listen, I'm not saying he's not. I don't know if he's going to get traded or not, but I don't know why people are so where this rumor came from, and I'm not. It came from an insider somewhere, but I go back to the base of this, or my number one point. Cleveland is not out of this. They're still in this. Why would they be selling? I don't understand that. I have seen Ranger struggle before, but I have never seen him have control issues with the changeup, command with other pitches. Yes. Yeah, I have too. The way Class A pooped the bed, so much the better. The Dodgers had more to offer at the Class A. And that's another thing, Steve. I'm glad you brought this up. Everybody also is gravitating towards the Phillies. Like we got some sort of otherworldly farm system. No, we don't. Our farm system is just now kind of springing to life. There's other more developed farm systems out there in baseball that the Cleveland Guardians would probably be looking at. You know, we talk about it. The Braves, every time someone gets hurt, they just plug somebody in for AAA. The Dodgers, as Steve mentions, they just keep plugging away from their prospect pool. Those teams have more to offer than the Guardians than friggin' Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, and goddamn Aiden Miller. There's better, gourds growing on the tree somewhere else than there are here in Philadelphia. We got little sprouts, man. They're just starting to kind of, bloom. There's other way more developed farm systems than us. So again, the arrogance of some Phillies fans to believe that we hold the key with Aiden Miller and Justin Crawford, again, it's just misguided. My broad street bottom line, the Phillies better hope the starting pitching does not fall against a part in the second half. I agree. Michael Papernick, that's a very, very valid bottom line. Yeah. Did the Phillies sign any draft picks? I have not seen anything. They have till tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'll check later. I have not checked, Joe. But as of, I think, Thursday, they hadn't. So we'll see. You guys know how that works, right? So if they don't sign these players by like 5 p.m. Monday, then the players cannot participate. They can't join the organization. They can't go to the minor leagues. They can't go anywhere. And then they have up to 1 hour before the draft of next year to sign with the Phillies. And if they don't by then, they go back in the draft. So, but I have not seen if anybody has signed. I haven't really looked, But I'll look into that tonight. Maybe the Phillies' secret weapon is the new #1 draft pick to help the Phillies, as I'm being sarcastic. Yes, well, some homers out there believe that this kid's going to pitch in the major leagues this year. Once again, thank God they're not running baseball teams. Do not bring a closer to Philly, as Robbie won't use them. Yeah, it's preaching to the choir. When do I think Crawford comes up? Last month? I mean, soon? I don't know when, and I don't understand why he's not here yet. It's probably ego, especially with Dave Dombrowski, another trade that didn't work out. You bring Crawford up, he's admitting center field ain't working, and he's admitting that he made a bad trade. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Crawford thing. I honestly don't. I don't. And then I think Phillies fans deserve answers about that. They deserve a lot of answers about what's happening in the minors. Speaking of the minors, it's Sunday. And typically we'd be going down on the Phillies farm right now. But listen, here's the deal. The Phillies just come off the All-Star break. Well, so did the minor leagues. They were also in the All-Star break, with the exception of the FCL Phillies. I am not going to profile a down on the Phillies farm segment with like 3 games as the source topic here. I'm going to wait till next week when we have a few more games to rev up the down the Phillies farm report for next week. The big thing, and we already covered it earlier in the week with the draft. Phillies added a bunch of new prospects. Seemed like they added about 30 pitchers, but no real meaningful, like I should say meaningful games, but like not enough games this week happened for me to sit here and profile a player and a pitcher of the week. So we'll wait till next week, and we'll get back to it very quickly next week. So I apologize for that. There is no down on the Phillies farm segment tonight, but it's not my fault though, because I didn't put them in the All-Star break. The ceiling isn't high enough, but if I feel like our pen has stabilized a bit. The bullpen's not the problem, Steve. Side rotation ain't the problem. It's the offense. None of these young guys will be up this season, so let's not hold our breath. That's starting to look like a reality as well, Michael Kaepernick. But listen, folks, that is going to wrap me up for the better late than never Fightins final tonight. Don't forget, we are welcoming the Boston Red Sox tomorrow, and that means another Fightins final, another series. It'll be Pat tomorrow, Steve on Tuesday, and Mike Lauro on Wednesday. They will have you for the Red Sox series. I'll be back tomorrow night. Will I be back? Yes, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow night, Final Word with Matty B will return here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, and all the other great programming we have coming throughout our normal broadcast week, and then all those stuff that we're getting ready to do in the future as well. So I want to wish you guys a happy rest of your Sunday night. Thank you for sitting with me for almost an hour talking about some Phillies and Angels. I don't know, we really didn't talk about that, but we kind of went into the problems of this team and, glanced at the game a little bit. But we'll talk again soon tomorrow night on the Final Word, and please make sure to be back tomorrow following Phillies Red Sox, as we will continue our coverage with the Fightins final until we are dead. Thank you, Michael. You guys have a great rest of your night and an even better tomorrow.